Right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday. And fresh back from vacation, you know, we hit the ground running here. Up see 3 suppliers a day. We're up to 2,000 wines this year, over 2,000 wines. You know, I taste them twice. So it's a lot of work, man. That's 4,000 times I've tasted wines this year, and got to get the teeth cleaned a lot, let me tell you. We have a huge issue with stain. My dentist is not happy about it, but hey, I will take one for the team here for my wine-drinking people. This is a tasting with one of the smaller companies. These guys have got some good Spanish wines. Torre La Moreira, Albarino from Rias, Baixas was what we started out with, 2014, and you want Albarino fresh. To me, this is not a great grape that gets better with age. This is from the farthest east of the 5 subregions in Rias Baixas, Condado de Té, and a very fresh style, that green melon, lovely lime citrus, along with some whetstone-like minerality, a little bit of a briny character, not quite as much as the stuff further over to the west. To the east? Yeah, to the west. That's where the ocean is. Anyways, a zesty palate here. Light, refreshing citrus, that tree fruit, and that briny, minerally character showing through the finish. Very refreshing here. A very good example of Albarino, and appropriately priced, in my opinion, at $15.75. All right, the Mistiguillo Mestizaje, and I say that 10 times really fast. Vino de Espana. This is located, the vineyards are just outside of the Valencia region. And it's a blend of 3 grapes, Mestigiullo, Malvasia, and Viognier. And this one's got a good amount of bright citrus fruit, some white peach, pretty white flowers. You get a little floral character from the Malvasia and the Viognier. And really nice richness on the tongue, a texture of whole milk, juicy peach, and zesty white grapefruit citrus, and that pretty floral nuance from the nose to the finish. An excellent little white. $13.50? Wow. Maybe I raised the score because it was so cheap. And then the Castillo de Monte, La Reina of Verdejo. And this is a wine that, you know, a little bit old for Verdejo. 2008, in my opinion. But this Spanish like oxidized whites. What can I say? It's barrel fermented and shows a bit of that oxidation because of its age on the nose. Some candy, caramel, apple, and ripe Georgia peach. 11 months in older French oak also, further enhancing the oxidization. And this wine's still quite live on the tongue, though. It's got a nice hand of acidity, that caramel corn-like candy nuance to the finish. Sherry-esque. You know, they're plugging it as a wine that's nice with fish in a cream sauce or bechamel. So you need food to make this wine taste good. Unfortunately, on the second day, not so much. A little bit muted. And, you know, a very good little wine. If you like sherry and oxidized whites, I would recommend drinking it on the first day you open it. The Mistiguillo Mestizaje Bobal, which this is a blend, actually, of 75% Bobal, 25% Syrah, Grenache, and Merlot. And Mistigiullo means blend. And this wine spends 11 months in older oak and more rustic. And this is the Bobal. It adapts to higher altitudes and a lot of polyphenols, also very high in acid. So this wine's fairly rustic on the nose, some dried herbs, some dried flowers, dark berry fruit, dried herbs, dark spice, a rather rustic wine coming through on the palate, those dried meat characters, herbs and spice from the nose coming through, and a little bitter cocoa and earth, some fine tannins. A very good little example of this wine at $13.50. Wow, some incredible values in Spain today. Mistiguillo Finca Terrazzo, Terrazzo, sorry, there's 2 R things in there. Vineyard de Pago, single vineyard Bobal, 21 months, and 100% new French oak. This is a 60-year-old vineyard, and $33.75, still a relative value. This wine's very distinct here. This Bobal grape does have that rustic quality, the dark earth, dried meat, licorice, and fairly big here on the palate as well. Also rustic, that black earth, the bitter cocoa nuance from the nose through the finish. A big wine, but still has good freshness and balance. Some tannins at the end. Could mean this wine needs time. I'm not an expert on Bobal. The Pagos De Labarca, Gran Reserva. This is a vineyard that's 6 kilometers from LaGuardia, not the airport in New York, but in Rioja Alvarez, a very famous town, and the ultimate expression of Bobal. And, well, is it Bobal? I'll have to go through my notes. Sorry, man. I may have just had Bobal in the brain because of the last 2 wines, but a fairly earthy wine, that black earth, dark spices, blackberry, blueberry fruit, dried meats, anise, even more coming out on the second day. A big and rustic wine on the tongue, fresh plowed earth, that dark spice, bitter cocoa, and dried meat. Very complex wine with layers of that earth and spice coming through on the finish. A long finish, excellent juice at $33.75. You could age this one for a little while still, even though it's 2005 vintage. And then Castillo de Monte, La Reina, VS, probably means vintage selection, Vendemmia selection, Toro, the wild little monstrous beast that it is, 100% Tinto de Toro, another clone of Tempranillo, the darkest of all the Tempranillos, really dark blackberry fruit, kind of a strawberry jam here, smoked meaty notes, espresso, violets, dark spices, really big and wild on the tongue here, lots of that rich, unctuous fruit, dark spices, still quite firm here, the tannins, even though it's 2005 vintage, lots of ripe, unctuous fruit though, dark spices, and this wine, a little monster, man. It's starting to drink nicely, but still needs a little time, in my opinion. Excellent juice at 51.75. And then the Akilia, Charo, Villar from Bierzo, Akilia, which it's legal for eagle. And, you know, one of the things about Spanish wine, the Spaniards need to realize if they're going to sell the wine in the U.S., let's come up with a name we can pronounce. Anyways, 100% Mencia, these last two wines, 60 to 80-year-old wines. Tiny production, cement fermented. This wine's got a very unique bouquet, just like all of Mencia does. This wild kind of herbs and flowers and more big and spicy on the tongue as well. That dark earth, bitter cocoa, the fairly rustic quality of this varietal showing through a very good example at 22.50. And then the Lombano, another single vineyard, and that wild floral, that herb note, the dried meat, black earth, and dark berry fruit, really showing nicely here on the palate. This wine big, but still has good freshness, that dark bitter and cocoa note and spice through the finish. Excellent juice at 37.50. And that's what we had to drink with our friends from Spain. Nesty, I'm your host, Andrew Lampisoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.